Hi friends, welcome back to Shiloh. This is written by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor and is based on a true-ish story. It was inspired by real events. When we last left our friend Marty in Shiloh, it was a pretty sad situation. Marty had to return Shiloh to Judd Travers. And that guy does not seem like a very nice guy. We know that he's cheated Mr. Wallace out of money at the grocery store. He has been hunting when it was illegal or out of season. And he's just generally not very well liked because he's a fast-talking, mean-spirited kind of guy. But none of that matters because he is truly the owner of Shiloh. And that's where, I guess, Shiloh belongs. Let's see what chapter 3 holds for us. We're on page 18. I don't sleep more than a couple of hours that night. When I do, I dream of Shiloh. When I don't, well, I'm thinking about him out in the rain all afternoon, head on his paws, watching our door, thinking how I disappointed him, whistling like I meant something that first time, getting him to come over to me, then taking him back to Judd Travers to be kicked all over again. By 5 o'clock, when it's growing light, I know pretty much what I have to do. I have to buy that dog from Judd Travers. I don't let my mind go any further, don't dwell on what Judd would want for Shiloh or whether he'd sell. Especially don't ask myself how I'm supposed to get the money. All I know is that I can think of only one way to get that dog away from Judd, and that's what I'm gonna have to do. My bed is the couch in the living room, so when Dad comes in to fix his breakfast, I pull on my jeans and I go to sit across from him in the kitchen. First, he makes himself a lunch to carry to work. He drives the Jeep to the post office in Sistersville, where he cases the mail for around 200 families and delivers it. Then he comes back to the friendly post office where he cases mail for 200 more, delivers that too. The route takes him about 85 miles on roads that you can hardly get by on in the winter. Morning, he says as he stuffs a sandwich in his sack, then starts in on his breakfast, which is wheat checks and any fruit that he can get from our peach tree. He makes himself coffee and eats cornbread or biscuits Ma saves for him from our meal the night before. Can you think of a way I could earn myself some money? I ask him with this froggy kind of voice that shows that you aren't real woke up yet. Dad takes another bite of cornbread, looks at me for a moment, and then goes on studying his cereal. Says exactly what I figure he'd say. Collect some bottles, take them in for a deposit. Pick up some aluminum cans maybe for the recycling place. No, I mean like real money. Gotta have it faster than that. How fast? I try to think. Wish I could earn it in a week, but I know I can't. Have to go out every day for a whole summer collecting cans and bottles to have much of anything at all. A month, maybe? I tell him. I'll ask along my mail route, but don't know many folks with money to spare, he says, which is what I had thought. After Dad's gone, Becky gets up before Ma and I fix her a bowl of Cheerios. I put her sneakers on so she won't stub her toes and brush the snarls from her hair. Read once in a book about how some kids earned money babysitting. Boy, if I ever got paid even a nickel for every time I'd taken care of Becky, Dara Lynn too, I'd have a lot of dollars. I'd do a whole bunch of jobs that other kids, other places get paid to do. But it wouldn't ever occur to me to ask for pay. If I asked Dad, he'd say, "You live in this house, boy?" And when I'd say yes, he'd say, "Then you do your share like the rest of us." Which is why I never asked. More Cheerios, says Becky, And all the while I'm making her breakfast, I'm thinking the best route to take to find aluminum cans. By the time Dara Lynn gets up, wearing one of Dad's old t-shirts for her nightgown, I'd figured out how I could double my can count. But when Ma gets up a few minutes later, she takes one look at me and guesses what I'm thinking. "You got that dog on your mind," she says, lifting the big iron skillet to the stovetop and laying some bacon in it. "Well, thinking don't cost nothing," I tell her. She just gives me a little smile and then sets about making my bacon crisp the way I like it. And we don't say any more about Judd's dog. Must have walked 5 miles that morning, and all I find is 7 cans and 1 bottle. When Dad comes home about 4, he hasn't found anybody looking for help either, but he says, "Well, the Sears Fall catalog comes in this afternoon, Marty. You got nothing better to do. If you got nothing better to do tomorrow, you can come ride my route with me and help deliver them." Now, guys, a catalog is like a magazine that has things in it that you can buy. This was before Amazon came along, before we started buying things online. We would get like a little magazine in the mail that would have pictures of things that were for sale. And then you would send in some money, a check, you don't even know what that is. But you would send in money and they would ship you your items. It was kind of like Amazon before there were computers. So Marty's dad is saying, "Well, listen, you can help me out by delivering these catalogs, these Sears catalogs." That's a company that used to sell all sorts of things. So there's an option that Marty has now, that he can come and help at the post office. Let's see, where are we? We're on page 21. At the very bottom. "I say yes to that. No, I won't get nothing more out of it than a soft drink at the gas station, but I like going around in the Jeep riding over the back roads like Rip and Tuck and Cowhouse Run Road with Dad. Can take a bag with me just in case. Pick up any cans or bottles I happen to see." That night, Dad and I sit out on the porch. Ma's in the swing behind us, shelling lima beans. Oops, excuse me. Sticky fingers. Shelling lima beans for the next day, and Becky and Dara Lynn's in the grass catching lightning bugs and putting them in the jar. Dad laughs at the way Becky squeals when she gets a bug in her hand. But seeing those bugs in a jar reminds me of Shiloh, all chained up at Judd's. A prisoner as sure as those bugs. Truth is, about everything reminds me of Shiloh. You once get a dog to look at you the way Shiloh looked at me, you don't ever forget it. "Got 17, Dara Lynn shouts. "Aren't they pretty, Ma?" "Well, almost could turn off the electricity and let them light up the kitchen," Ma says. "You gonna let them go?" I asked. Dara Lynn shrugs. "Well, they'll die if you keep them in a jar," I tell her. Becky, she comes over and crawls into my lap. "We'll let him go, Marty," she says, and kisses me on the neck. A butterfly kiss, she calls it. Bats her eyelashes against my skin. Feels like a moth's wings. She laughs and I laugh. And then far off I hear a dog. Leastwise, I think it's a dog. Might could be a fox cub, but I think Shiloh. "You hear that?" I asked Dad. "It's just a hound complaining," is all he says. Next morning, Dad gives me a nudge when he comes through the kitchen, and I'm up like a shot. Well, we ride to Sistersville, and I haul those catalogs out to the Jeep while Dad cases mail. Not everybody gets the catalog, of course, but anyone who places an order with Sears during the year gets one, so there's a lot to load up. By 8:45, we're on the route. Dad pulls the Jeep up close to the mailboxes, and I stuff the mail in. Turn up the little red flag on the sign if there is one. Some folks even wait down at the box, and then you feel real bad if you don't have anything for them. Dad knows everybody's name, though, and he always takes time to say a little something. "Morning, Bill," he says to the old man whose face lights up like Christmas when we stop. How's the wife doing? Oh, about the same, the man says. But this catalog sure is going to cheer her. And he sets off to the house, mail tucked under his arm. People even leave something in their boxes once in a while for Dad. Well, Mrs. Ellison always leaves a little loaf of banana bread or a cinnamon roll, and Dad saves it to eat with his lunch. After we finish Sistersville, we do the friendly route, but as the Jeep gets up near Shiloh, my heart starts to pound. I'm thinking of closing my eyes tight in case the dog's around. If I see his eyes looking at me, they'll just drive me crazy. Well, I can hear dogs barking when we're half a mile off from Judd Traver's trailer. Dogs can pick up the sound of a Jeep that quick. I get Judd's mail ready for him. He hasn't got any catalog coming, but he's got 2 other magazines that'll probably warm his heart. Guns and Ammo and Shooting Times. Why don't he take a magazine about dogs, I'm thinking. Teach him how to be kind. All the dogs is chained when we get to his place, so none's waiting for us at the box. But Judd is. He's got a big old sickle and is cutting weeds alongside of the road. Now guys, a sickle is like a long, rounded blade. It's on a stick, and the Grim Reaper carries it. You remember that guy that comes around at Halloween? He looks like death. He's the scary guy in the big black cloak, and he carries this long stick that has this curved metal blade on the end. Well, that's a sickle, and you kind of swing it to chop weeds. That was before they had weed eaters. And so he's out there with his long blade, like whacking weeds out in the front of his trailer. And that is called a sickle. Oh, Lord, where are we? Morning, Dad says as the Jeep pulls up. Judd straightens his back. His shirt's all soaked with sweat, and he wears his brown handkerchief tied around his forehead to keep the sweat from running into his eyes. How you doing, Ray? He says, and comes over to the Jeep with his hand out. I give him his mail, and he even stinks like sweat. I know everybody sweats and everybody's sweat stinks, but seems to me that Judd's sweat stinks more than anyone's. It's mean sweat. How come you aren't at work? Dad asks. Ha! You think this ain't work? Judd answers and then laughs. Got me a week of vacation coming, so I take a day now and then. This Friday I'm going hunting again. Take the dogs up on the ridge, see if I can get me some rabbit. Possum, maybe. Haven't had me a possum dinner in some time. Dogs okay? Dad asks, and I know that he's asking for me. Lean and mean, said Judd. Keep 'em half starved. They'll hunt better. Well, you gotta keep 'em healthy, though, or you won't have 'em long, Dad says. I know he's saying that for me, too. Lose one? I'll buy another, Judd tells him. Well, I can't help myself. I lean out of the window where I can see his face real good, a big round face, whiskers on his cheeks and chin where he hasn't shaved his face for 5 days, tight little eyes looking down on me beneath his bushy brows. That dog that followed me home the other day, I say, he okay? He's learning, Judd says. Didn't give him an ounce of supper that night. Just put him where he could watch the others eat. Teach him not to wander off. Got him back in the shed right now. Oh, my stomach hurts for Shiloh. That dog, I say again, what's his name? Judd just laughs and his teeth are dark where that tobacco juice oozes through. Ha! Hasn't got a name. Never name any of my dogs. Dog 1, 2, 3, 4 is all. When I want 'em, I whistle. And when I don't, I give 'em a kick. Get! Scram! Out! Doggone it! Well, that's my dog's name. Then he laughs, making the fat on his belly shake. I'm so mad I can't even see. I know I should shut my mouth, but it just goes on talking. His name is Shiloh. Judd looks down at me and spits sideways. Studies me a good long time and then just shrugs as the Jeep moves forward and again and on along the river. And that, friends, wraps up chapter 3. Goodness, there's a little tension between Marty and Judd, don't you think? And I think Marty has it pretty bad for our friend, our little puppy friend Shiloh. I don't think he can stop thinking about him. I know what that's like, don't you? All right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed chapter 3, and I hope you're looking forward to chapter 4, because it's coming up next.